All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the money management secrets of the top 1%. And it's actually a pretty simple framework that can help you shift your whole mindset from just earning money to actually building real wealth.
So let's kick things off with this pretty provocative idea, because it gets right to the core of how the wealthiest people think about money. See, it's not just about what you earn, it's all about what you own. And if you really look at this breakdown, there's one powerful thread that connects every single one of them. Entrepreneurs, they own businesses. Investors, they own assets. Heck, even artists own a rare skill. The bottom line is, they all build wealth because they own something valuable. So, the big question is, how do you escape that cycle of just earning a salary and start owning things for yourself? How do you push back against a system that, let's be honest, can sometimes feel like it's designed just to keep you on the treadmill?
Well, the answer lies in this simple but incredibly powerful rule. Think of it as a blueprint that anyone, and I mean anyone, at any income level can use to start managing their money the right way. So let's walk through it pillar by pillar.
Okay, first up, and this is arguably the most crucial piece of the entire puzzle, is your growth engine. The rule is you dedicate 25% of your income right here. This is the money that you put to work for you, building more wealth in the background while you sleep. And to really hammer home why starting now is such a massive deal, let's look at the story of Billy and Phil. Billy starts investing earlier, but he puts in less money each month. Phil, on the other hand, waits a decade but invests more, trying to make up for lost time. Now here's the crazy part. Phil actually invested $12,000 more in total than Billy did, so common sense would say he should end up with a bigger pile of cash, right?
But this is where the magic really happens: compound growth. It just means that his earnings started earning their own money. And when you're getting, say, a 10% average return, time suddenly becomes your most powerful weapon.
And boom, this just brilliantly shows you the insane power of starting early. Billy, the guy who invested less money overall, ended up with almost double the cash. That 1 decade of extra time made all the difference in the world. That's why you got to start now.
So, where do you actually put this growth money? Well, think of it like a ladder of risk. For most of us, the smartest move is starting on the safest rung, with index funds. Basically, you buy a tiny slice of the whole market. Then, as you get more comfortable, you can start climbing to things like real estate or even individual stocks. But you always start with a solid, safe foundation. This is exactly how the wealthy do it. Build a secure base before taking those bigger, calculated risks.
And here's a pro tip. One of the absolute smartest things you can do is protect that growth from taxes. By using tax-advantaged accounts, like these examples for the US and UK, more of your money stays invested and working for you. Remember, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep.
Okay, so your growth engine is fired up. Fantastic. But now you've got to protect it. And that brings us to our next pillar, the 15% stability shield. This is the money that protects you.
You know, the creator of this rule, he learned this lesson the hard way. When he was young, his car engine just completely blew up. And because he had zero savings, he had no backup plan. An unexpected bill like that can feel like a total financial catastrophe if you're not ready for it.
And get this, that one single mistake, having no safety net, forced him into debt and set his financial progress back by an entire year. Your stability fund is your margin for error, and make sure that one emergency doesn't completely derail your whole future.
So here's the simple 3-step plan to build your own financial shield. First, you calculate your core expenses for about 5 months. Second, you stash that cash somewhere safe and super easy to get to. You never ever invest it. And third, you use smart tricks like automated transfers to build it up fast so you're protected ASAP.
All right, let's talk about the biggest slice of the pie, your essentials. But this comes with a really strict rule. You've got to cap it at 50% of your income. This is your #1 defense against what they call lifestyle creep, where your spending magically rises to meet your income. And man, this is such a huge mindset shift. We get so confused between looking rich and actually being rich. True wealth isn't the designer shirt or the fancy car you can't really afford. It's that healthy growing investment account and that solid stability fund that nobody ever sees. I love this personal story from the source material because it just nails the point. One friend looked the part, decked out in expensive gear, but his bank account was completely empty. The other guy looked pretty basic, but he was quietly building a foundation of real, actual wealth. It all comes down to priorities. Now, to get a handle on your spending, don't rely on willpower. It always fails. Instead, you need a system. Run your potential purchases through this simple 3-question filter. It forces you to make choices that are intentional, not just emotional.
And finally, we get to the fun part. The part that actually makes this whole system sustainable and, let's be real, enjoyable. This is the 10% of your income that you are supposed to spend on yourself, completely guilt-free.
92%. That's the number of people who say they overspend after a period of intense saving. And why is that? Because a financial plan with zero joy feels like a punishment. This 10% isn't an excuse to be reckless. It's a strategy to keep you in the game for the long haul.
The key here is to spend this money on things that create lasting value. I'm not just talking about stuff that gives you a temporary high, but memories, experiences, relationships, things that genuinely refuel you and remind you why you're working so hard in the first place.
And there you have it. That's the entire framework. 25% to build your future, 15% to protect your present, 50% to cover your needs, and a solid 10% to enjoy the journey. It's a balanced plan that shifts your focus from just earning to truly owning your financial future, all without burning out along the way.
So look, you have the map now. This is the system that the 1% use to build and maintain their wealth. The only real question left is, what's the first asset you're going to own?